two, 1, 2, 3.
There are books that are good, there are books that are bad. There's some books so fucking awful you wish you never had read them at all, 'cause a novel can ruin your life. Hey buddy, I don't even own a television.
All right, hello and welcome to I Don't Even Own a Television, a podcast about bad books. I am your host, J. Williams Friedman. And before we get into things today, there's a little bit of housekeeping I wanted to take care of. First of all, I got a message from a listener and friend, Russell, who suggested that instead of abbreviating the show IDEO TV pod, that it should just be IDEOT pod, because then it would say idiot. So Russell wanted me to call you idiots. I just wanted to relate that. Hopefully also you'll notice some technical improvements today because I have a windscreen so I can say words like palm tree and bomb without your ears exploding. So that's a good thing too. All right. Well, anyway, today we are here to talk about a book, called The Rules According to JWOWW. And here to discuss this with me is Rachel Millman, a Twitter personality and quasi-comedian. How's it going, Rachel?
It's good. How are you?
I am doing excellent. I'm drinking a beer at 11 in the morning because that's what JWOW would do.
Also, it's Easter weekend. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like half Jewish, but the Jewish half controls the holidays, I think, because I don't really give a fuck.
I'm half too as well, but I'm like, I think the half really comes out in that like most true Jews I know are really lazy about holidays. So, I mean, that's where it happens.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to do anything family related for Easter this year, and I'm so excited.
I have to go to Staten Island, so maybe talking about this book will help me get in the mindset of Staten Island.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
It's great timing then.
I know.
So let's roll into it then. We both read this book, ?
It's very heavily in quotation marks.
Yeah,
book.
I feel the need to put verbal scare quotes around book every time I mention because this is a giant list and mostly a branding exercise, I'd say.
She's amazing at personal branding. I will say that for her. In reading it, I was just like, well, her ghostwriter is probably also very good at personal branding.
Well, actually, that's something that I had written here as a note that I wanted to discuss was that obviously this book is ghostwritten because most of them are when you get into these kind of like MTV star books and stuff. But what amazed me is how well the writer captured her voice. Like, I feel like instead of maybe doing a couple interviews, I have a feeling that JWOW was micromanaging the creation of this book quite a bit. Like perhaps leaning directly over the writer's shoulder.
Well, there's so many weird personal anecdotes in there. And those were actually kind of some of the more fun parts to read of like, wow, she dated a shitty guy. And I didn't really care about the dating advice because the dating advice, when it was good, was largely just platitudes.
Yeah, definitely.
And everything else was horrifying misogyny.
It amazed me. This is probably the most misogynist thing I've ever read written by a woman. But when I mentioned that to my wife, she said that that's because I've never read Camille Paglia. So.
I mean, to begin, I don't know where you want to begin with this book, too. I don't know if you want to just begin with the cover itself.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great part, definitely. One of my faves, actually.
Well, I opened it up, and I listened to previous episodes, and part of me really wanted to get in on, like, the glory of, like, look at me, I'm reading this in public, and I'm not afraid. But I opened up this book, and I was like, okay, I live in New York City, and I was like, I gotta go ride the subway to work. I got my book. I can start doing this. And I get onto the subway, and I pull it out, and the immediate shame that just went through my body of... Because the cover is... I mean, for people who don't know the cover is JWOW in a red bra, a black blazer, a red schoolgirl skirt, knee socks, and red heels. And it's her with a ruler because she's a sexy teacher because it's the rules.
And can I just point out that teachers don't wear the sexy schoolgirl uniforms? Like, usually at schools with sexy schoolgirl uniforms, the teachers are nuns, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it's the setting up, like, the nuns didn't know shit. I teach the class now. I have no idea.
That's probably it, definitely.
I
I'm
also
sure
really
it goes that deep.
Yeah, it goes that deep. I also really liked that, just as a side note, like, her bra's from Fredericks of Hollywood, and I used to work there, and I just looked at it and was like, oh, it's my old job.
She actually mentions them by name twice, I believe, too, in the book.
It was a very strange flash. Like, I mean, I haven't worked there in a couple months. There's a strange flashback to, like, oh, yep, Jenny shops on a budget for her lingerie, and I respect her for that. And also, there's a free poster. You can open up the inside of the cover. I mean, that happens with a lot of, I guess you could say, sexy personality books. Like, most of Pamela Anderson's books, I believe, if you take off the jacket, the inside is a poster.
Wait, most of Pamela Anderson's books?
I'm pretty...
As in, more than one exists?
She's written a couple books.
Oh, dear Lord.
She had a TV show where she played like a librarian, but a sexy one.
I need to find a Pamela Anderson book as a companion piece to the Motley Crue episode.
She's written a couple, and they're all largely ghost-written, but, I mean, like, a lot of those types, like, Jenna Jameson has written a couple books, I know that. So, I mean, I kind of feel for JWOWW here, because clearly I think she was kind of trying to break into that, and she didn't quite do... I don't think she has another book. If she does, I'll be shocked.
Well, she didn't do a very good job.
No, she did not. Like, Pam Anderson is better at writing than you, JWOWW. I'm very sorry.
So, to get into more of the details, I think one of my favorite parts about my experience with this book was reading the whole thing before I learned that JWOW's name is Jenny Farley and she is not Italian. Well, because it was like when you watch Memento or something and then you have to go and watch the whole thing again. Because there is no shortage of just these total, like, hey, I'm a Goomba, kind of like straight up like Italian stereotype phrases throughout the entire thing.
She's Bob Hoskins eating the pasta in the Mario Brothers movie the entire time.
If you get mad, just sit down with a big plate of al dente spaghetti and it'll all be better. I'm Italian. What's up, JWOWW?
No. Olive Gardino. I love garlic. Like, it's so bad. And oddly, I'm not offended, but I probably could be if I really wanted to be.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably something you could get pissed about, but it's just so ham-handed that it comes more across just like bad uncle jokes. And
I know. Well, a lot of the Jersey Shore cast, Snooki isn't Italian either.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I didn't know this either.
Yeah, well, I mean, when Jersey Shore is like a couple years out from being, pop culture lexicon at this point, which is also what was so funny about reading this book, because it was like a small time capsule, because she talks about MySpace a lot.
Yeah, he has 2 MySpace pages and hides one of them from you, I believe was one of her warnings of adultery.
Oh, yeah, that was the one about, MySpace comes up so much. There's one about figuring out that you're a hookup. She has an anecdote about this guy that she dated, and she found his secret MySpace, and then the red flag is that he's a control freak, is that he checks your MySpace. Like, Jenny loves MySpace.
Yeah, totally. Like, I bet that she was on tons of top 9s.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would give her that. If had it not been for Jersey Shore, I feel like she would have tried to become a Tila Tequila. So, for that, I think she lucked out, because her life is probably way better than Tila Tequila's right now. But
hey, Rachel.
Yeah.
Keep the smart-ass remarks under your hat. That's a direct quote. I'm sorry. It reminded me so much of The Room when Tommy was always like, keep your smart-ass remarks in your pocket or whatever.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this book is great to talk about. I hated reading it.
Reading it. So I'm so glad we scheduled this, because we were thinking about recording this on Friday, I think. And reading it just gave me a headache. And I was like, I have to put this down. And go outside and drink some water and look at the sun.
Yeah, you need distance from this. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, it's bad.
Okay.
It's really bad.
So I wanted to mention Constantly on Brand, as we talked about.
So on
but
brand.
I actually
Brand champion.
never watched the show Jersey Shore because I don't even own. Well, you know. But that was pretty clever. Actually, I do own a television, and I enjoy a lot of it.
I don't, but I watched when the show first came out. It was a big cultural phenomenon because also a lot of the Jersey Shore people, because I used to live in upstate New York, I know a bunch of people who know JWOWW in real life and went to high school with her.
She's a real person.
She's a real person. And
that's so hard to imagine.
I know. Like, Vinny went to New Paltz, and I knew people who partied with him. Snooki and I were at the same bar a couple times, and she just was drunk. And she just, like, the show is also very weird because, again, it's this complete capsule of a very specific time of pop culture too. You could try to analyze it, but it's just kind of like, why? And there's no point.
I think ultimately though, what I was getting at here is that this book is really confusing if you've never watched Jersey Shore.
Oh yeah, the book is all callbacks to remember the thing that happened on the show, and
yeah,
no, I don't.
There's specifically, oh man, I had a highlight, but I have so many highlights, it's taking me forever to scroll through them. But like, there were like every page, there were two things I wanted to highlight. But yeah, it was like, you know how Vinny did this in season 2? That's the way to treat a girl. And it's like, if you've never seen the show, you have no idea what she's talking about at all.
Like, it's also like, do you remember when Snooki got really drunk the first night and alienated the house? And just, nope. But
no, don't remember that at all.
Don't remember that at all.
Sorry, Jenny.
But the show itself was kind of a cycle of the same thing every night of just like, somebody got drunk, somebody had sex, somebody cried, they were hungover. That was it. That was the show.
Can we talk about the word smush for a minute? Because every time I read that, it made me cringe. And
I remember when they first started saying smush on there, and I never realized how much smush entered just the general like language, because I was listening to Beyonce at one point when I was reading the book on the train, and I see smush on the page, and I was listening. It was a partition, and there's a line in it where Beyonce sings, "Oh, he's so horny, yeah, he wants to smush," and I was like, what? Whoa, everything's a circle.
No, awful white people are supposed to adopt their culture from the urban world, not the other way around.
On this show, the house was not that good of a house, too. It was like kind of a crappy beach house. They had to share rooms, but they had a specific room for fucking that they called the smush room.
Ew. Ew. I'm so not down with that at all.
That was also one of the big things that happened on the show every week, which is that somebody brought somebody home to the smush room, and then you saw a small montage of them, like, cleaning sheets.
Oh, God. That room has so many awful stories to tell.
I know, it probably smells really weird. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Okay, so anyway, I think we kind of gotten through the gist of the book already. I'd like to move into something new I'm doing, which is a new segment called What's Your Fave? So please enjoy the theme song.
Okay. What is your fave? What is your fave? When you're presented with a list of options, what is your fave?
Okay, so in What's Your Fave? I'm gonna ask you some questions and we're gonna answer them. Okay. And these are about your favorite parts of the book. So in the book, other than JWOWW, who is your favorite side character?
Probably Snooki. It's Snooki, or whenever she mentions her dog.
Bella,
yeah.
No, Bella, like from Twilight.
Yeah. Although to her credit, I think she named the dog pre-Twilight.
Oh, damn it. That kind of fucks up one of my jokes later. Oh, well.
Ow, poopies.
Man, JWOW, why'd you have to go and be ahead of the curve?
She's oddly, again, I will say this again, if you ever watched the show, she did have a certain likability because you could tell that she was pretty, I mean, she's obviously smart enough to know that she has to present herself as a brand in some way. And like you said, this book was ghostwritten but micromanaged, and she seems like a pretty, she's obviously everyone on the Jersey Shore is a self-aware entity, especially at this point. But she seemed pretty self-aware. Like, she knew, like, on the show, it was always like, I'm surrounded by fucking idiots all the time, was kind of like her general air. And I kind of liked her for that.
Yeah, I mean, she's on her biz.
Yeah, she knows her shit.
She's got the hustle.
Yeah. And but I would say the other favorite side character was Snooki, because Snooki, just her name alone, it's just fun reading that.
It is, especially when she calls her Snooks.
Snooks, yeah, she calls her Snooks.
For me, I think my favorite was Perfection, who is the nickname she gave her current boyfriend at the time of writing the book, and that is Perfection with a capital P.
And Perfection with a capital P, who she bones in a Macy's dressing room, I remember in one anecdote. That
was the part that I was going to mention is why he's my favorite character, is that's adventurous. Perfection. Also, I like that the name she gave him sounds like a bad cologne.
New to Family Dollar. Perfection.
Exactly. Smells kind of like rubbing alcohol. Okay, so what is your favorite way from JWOW's book to deal with a breakup?
It was rules 30 through 33, I believe, and it was chapter 5. I'm looking at the table of contents right now. It was chapter 5, and it was called It's Over.
Students, please refer to your appendix.
Well, I mean, I could go with Rule 30, breaking up is a bitch. It is. And it's the weird thing is that some of this, I mean, the things I agreed with were sort of platitudes, but there's a reason platitudes are platitudes. I really liked hit something, not your ex.
My favorite was talking about dealing with your ex's belongings. Rip it, shred it, burn it, stomp on it, throw it into a garbage bag, and then pour marinara sauce on it. I want to repeat, I'm not making that up. That's real.
No, I'm reading it right now, you know? Like, I also liked Rule 32 in that vein of reheated pasta never tastes the same.
And that was right after that. And my note here that I had written is, what the fuck? So, yeah, that's when it started to started to occur to me that someone was trying to write kind of like the Sopranos Guide to Dating here. Told from the story of one of Meadows' slutty friends. Okay, so last one. What was, all in all, your favorite rule?
Stop drinking if you vomit. I wrote that one down.
Man. That was mine. I'll let you go on though.
Because there was 3 pages of a list dedicated to rules on what to do if you're too drunk. And it's I don't know, maybe I'm too simplistic in my if I'm too drunk rules, which is if I'm too drunk, I stop drinking. But stop drinking if you vomit was my favorite because it was very redundant, but it felt like more that she had to say it to herself and she really had to learn that lesson.
It was like a peek directly into the mind of Jenny Farley. Look, stop drinking when you vomit, girl. I'm trying to
find the exact page for it right now because it was so fun. Stop drinking if you vomit. If you puke it up, don't put more in. Vomiting is a sign that your body can't take the amounts of alcohol that you have consumed. Just the fact that it had to be really very specifically spelled out of you have poisoned yourself. Don't drink more poison.
All right, so I think we got to take a break
Okay.
now. So we will be back in a few, and we have plenty more to talk about, so don't worry. We'll be back.
Stars make you drool just like a pasta fazool at Amore. When you dance down the street with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk
And we're back. This is I Don't Even Own a Television, a podcast about bad books. I am your host, Jay Williams Friedman, and with me is Rachel Millman.
Hey.
Excellent. Hello, Rachel, again.
Hello again.
I'm just going to kind of hand it off here to my guest because she has a lot to say about the book itself, and I think you'll find it interesting. So, Rachel, if you would like to educate us all, please proceed.
Well, it's also like just in reading this book, I was sitting there kind of confused about what market is she going for here, and I think in the serious sense of like, there's obviously everyone on the Jersey Shore knows how to market themselves to an audience, but the book, it didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know if it wanted to be, sex appeal for boys and Jenny dishes on this dude she hooked up with, or if it wanted to be, tips for young girls and how to be like me, which is horrifying, but we could, whatever. But it's basically a pickup artist handbook. Because the book is mostly just lists and recipes.
Yeah,
and
lots of recipes for Italian food.
The list of her icebreakers on how to chat a dude up at the club was insane. And then also her lists on like positive body language and non-positive body language. And one of her
Kino.
Yeah, her Kino. And one of her like positive body language basically just implied like, give a straw a blowjob. He'll get the picture.
Yeah, or like rub your fingers slowly around your lips.
Lean in and squish your boobs together. Just holy shit.
Put your hand on his junk.
Wear a condom.
I kind of got the same impression too, in that she'd have like one chapter there or one rule that would be like, carry protection with you if you're planning on smushing, and then in parentheses, unless you're a teenager, you should wait, and it's very like young focused. And then the next segment will be called something like, like how to fuck right or something like that.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of weird switch between smush and fuck in this book.
Yeah, you can tell. It's kind of interesting because it's definitely, you can tell when the ghostwriter kind of took over when she was like, no, we're going to say the word fuck here. Just, okay.
Yeah. This is going to get real.
It's going to get real fast. Yeah, it's...
Like, if we don't say fuck a couple times, we're going to have to change the cover to a cartoon and put this in the YA section.
I know. We got to make sure this stays vaguely PG-13. Yeah, and it's also, it's just, it shouldn't be surprising to anybody, but there's like a lot of horrible internalized misogyny. Like she's very much about like, hey, if you want to go hook up with someone, go hook up with someone. But then she calls anybody who her boyfriends would look at, like fictional or non-fictional, of just like whores. Like, he better not be looking at some other whore. Just, ugh. And it's not surprising that there's a lot of weird misogyny in it, but there's a lot of weird misogyny in it. It's just,
there's one paragraph in particular, I think, that encapsulates that in the span of 3 sentences. She's talking about one thing you can do if you break up, and it's this. Show him what he's missing. Go for a makeover. Lose weight, get a new haircut and color, hot clothes, even a boob job. Then walk by and watch his tongue hang out. Best revenge ever for me. I went to the gym and got in sick shape, and the Guido noticed. Boy, did he notice. But make sure you're doing it for yourself, not for him. And I think that's that dichotomy just rolled into one paragraph right there.
Get a boob job. Only to piss off your ex.
No, you're doing it for yourself, not for him.
Yeah, and she also kind of is just like, hey, get plastic surgery if you want. But then she's like, don't get too much. She's got a lot of Madonna whore complexes within this, too. of just...
She also loves to promote Dr. Stephen Greenberg, her plastic surgeon. By name.
And you know what? Her boobs look good. So good for her on that level. But it's still one of those...
I also approve.
Yeah, right? And again, you didn't watch the show, but Jenny was always an interesting character because all of these dudes are obviously just real juiced up, huge, like buffed out guys. But within the show, they were all terrified to fight Jenny because she could probably destroy all of them.
She comes across as hard as nails.
Yo,
like,
she's really hard.
yeah.
I think there was an episode where she got into a physical fight with one of them, and I'm pretty sure she sent him to the hospital, or at least he had to put like an ice pack on something.
It's referenced in the book briefly, but not enough to give me enough context to know what happened. It was just like, remember that one time in the bar with the situation? That was from the chapter, if you're gonna smack a bitch, make sure to keep your nails short.
Yeah, and like again, you never watched the show. In the original promos for the show, it was like, Jersey Shore, look at all these fucking messes. And then it cuts to a shot of Snooki, who, not everybody notices, is a very short girl being punched so hard in the face that she flies off of a bar stool.
Oh, yeah, I saw that was like all over the internet. And I remember thinking like, oh, am I supposed to think this is funny? This is horrible.
I remember seeing the ad with friends on TV, and there's just this horrible silence after she flies off of a bar stool because she got punched in the face, and everyone was like, did they just promote a show with a girl being punched in the face? This is insane. This is insane.
Welcome to the future, Rachel.
I know.
Bloodsport for all.
MMA, Jersey bitches.
So one more thing here before we move on.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your opinion on JWOW's tips on how to go from casual to club ready in 10 minutes or less.
They were all insane. It was all insane because... And there's nothing against people who take a long time getting ready. There's no way JWOW only takes 10 minutes to get ready for the club anytime.
Well, half of it was like, wear half of your club wear to work. So
yeah, she mentioned slingback tank tops a lot.
What is that?
I think it's just a thin back to it. I don't know. Maybe I wear them. I have no idea. I think it's just a tank top with a really exposed back and a low-cut front.
See, in my mind, it's a tank top with, like, a cool hole cut in the back, like a triangle, that comes down, like on a fancy prom dress, but it's a tank top. I don't know why that amuses me, but I like it.
I like it, too, definitely.
That reminds me of a quote. In season 1, I was all about dark hair and platinum extensions. Parentheses, kind of a sexy badass skunk. And my note there was, or Cruella de Vil. I like, just, this is kind of a digression here, but I like one of her rules is every girl should know how to give a perfect blowjob.
Yes,
and then it says,
I love that.
Then it says, get your mind out of the gutter. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your hair. Or yeah, that's it. Get your mind out of the toilet. I'm talking about hair. But then like 40 pages later, there's a section on how to give a blowjob. That's exactly what it sounds like.
It's so good. Everything about
great,
it is just great. When you're sure he's the one, slap on cuffs. And then later, a lot of the rules are, don't be clingy.
Yeah. Sometimes a guy is clueless regarding fashion. But don't worry, you can take him shopping at Ed Hardy.
Yes! The Ed Hardy quote was really great. There was also a section where, you shouldn't care about what brands he buys, but here's a list of brands he should buy.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much of that. Like, it's not just about materialism, but when that guy rolls up with the Rolex and the fancy car, you know he's the one you want.
Yeah, and then earlier in the book, she had this anecdote of like, don't let the fancy car fool you. Here's my story of how a guy cheated on me on MySpace.
Yeah. Also, she has a really, really simplistic view of how men work, like almost to the... You were talking about misogyny before,
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want to get into the whole, like, reverse misogyny
No, but
and all
I
that.
know what
Because
you
it's not
mean.
even that, but she's just fucking stupid about it. And, like, throughout the book, she details her relationship problems. But then she also says stuff like, sex and food are all a guy needs to make him happy. And that is not fucking true.
No, it's not.
Like, I'm not a, a dog.
Yeah, it's not. And dogs
there's
don't
a-
even like sex that much.
There's a lot of it. I mean, sex and food are really good,
Yeah.
but so are, emotional support and common interests and, things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not really all it takes to make most guys happy. And I think JWOW's kind of pushing a really simplistic view there, unless you date the type of guys that JWOW probably dates.
Yeah,
So-
that's probably what it really boils down to, is just that you date an idiot and you become an idiot, kind of.
She uses the word sexpectations.
Yes.
So that's good.
And she doesn't say sexting. I remember she says like sex texts, because she has a section where she trashes online dating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He may send great sex texts, but you don't know what he's like in real life.
Who copy edited this too, by the way? Because there's so many just basic grammatical errors. Like chapter 2 begins with a grammatical error. It says, just like the Jersey Lottery, period, you can't sit around in your ratty sweats, when it should be just like the Jersey Lottery, comma.
Yeah, I also like to point out that you could totally win the lottery in your ratty sweats.
Yeah, absolutely. You can. Most
Most
people
of the
do.
people I see buying lottery tickets are wearing sweatpants.
They live great lives.
So I wanted to talk just for a couple minutes here about JWOW's self-tanning tips, because this is important to me. I'm a very pale man.
I'm a very pale
and-
woman. Absolutely.
And I've learned since reading this book that in addition to six-pack abs, if I don't get my tan right, I'm just fucking up. And so there's a section here called "What to Do If You Fuck Up Your Self-Tan." That's verbatim. And basically, it's a list of problems that can happen when you use self-tanning lotion. That starts out with the phrase, "Baby, it's all about the bronze," which I love. That's why I created JWOW Black Bronzer Indoor Outdoor Tanning Lotion. And then there's a website address. But then she gives a list of a bunch of different tan troubles that you could have using using any tanning product. It's stuff like your knuckles are too dark, your tan is uneven. My favorite one, though, is tan trouble 2. You have a brown streak down the back of your leg. That could be something else entirely.
Well, I remember not to get away from the self-tanning chapter, but
No, you don't want to talk about my awesome diarrhea joke.
did you? Okay, it's on page. I wrote down the page and everything. It's page 16, where there is a quote where it mentions skid marks, and I really don't understand what happened. It's chapter 2 on the prowl, rule 1. You gotta be in it to win it. I'll read it.
Get in where you fit in.
I won't kid you. It takes balls to be in the scene. Look at me. Look at the clothes I wear. You don't think I'm judged? Hell yeah, I am. The difference is I embrace it and run with it. Judge all you want, baby. Everyone has been rejected at one time or another. Some people more often than a telemarketer, which is a great dad joke.
Yeah.
Even
Oh, man. It's a rough life.
yes, even in the people in my house, who will remain nameless, will claim it has never happened to them. You can't fool me. I was there, dude. I saw the skid marks. And that's when I had to read that paragraph 4 times. And I still don't know what happened.
Is she implying, like, that she's seen someone's underwear with skid marks? Or, like, she saw skid marks in the carpet after a furious lovemaking session,
Well,
or
it's about
like someone peeled out in their car, or
maybe it's that they peeled out in their car because she's talking about being rejected, and then all of a sudden it's skid marks, and it made me think like, was somebody trying to hook up with someone and then they shit themselves? I don't remember that.
That's what I thought at first too.
Because I had no idea. I wrote it down. I was considering asking other people, like, did they poop themselves? I don't understand what happened.
I just thought of that right now, and you may be totally right, to be honest, because it's not like this book is above a little bit of toilet humor. So. Much like me.
Yay.
So anyway, I think now's a good time to take a break, and we're going to come back with a couple more structured segments.
Okay.
And I just wanted to thank all of you for sticking around, and please continue to do so for the next 15 seconds while I play completely unrelated music.
Nice.
Bye. All right, we're back. I'm your host, JWOWW Freeman. And I've been waiting to say that for 45 minutes. And so yeah, we're gonna roll in here to a new segment called What Would They Do?
Sometimes intentions are hard to define, and others the clear as day. So tell me, what would they do?
In this case, our protagonist is the mighty JWOW Farley. And I am going to pose to you a series of conundrums, and I'd like you to let me know how you think JWOW would handle these situations.
Okay.
Okay, so number one. JWOW is out on a romantic date at an Italian restaurant, of course.
As she should be.
Yeah, she orders a large plate of vodka penny pasta, which is her favorite. Mm-hmm. And her date orders nothing. Because he's a vampire. What would JWOW do?
She already doesn't like vampires, I remember, because it was in the 5 signs that he's a hookup, he only sees you at night. So you're just a hookup, or he's a vampire. So either way, she wouldn't date a vampire because she's super Italian, even though she's not Italian, and Italians love garlic. So she would get the pasta to go and end that date.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Good one. Okay, I think you're pretty much on point there. I would have also accepted extra garlic. Okay, this one doesn't really have a clear answer. This is a thought exercise. Okay. What would JWOW do if she were trapped in a room with a locked door, no windows, and only 1 can of tanning bronzer and half a bottle of nail polish?
I think she'd do the self-tanner first.
Yeah, probably.
Because I think the fear, because she has no light coming into the room, so when she's eventually rescued, she doesn't want to look pale.
I think that's probably it, yeah. That's a good one. I also would have used, you could have used the nail polish, perhaps, as fake blood to attract attention from a guard.
Oh, that's a good point.
And then overtake him as he opens the door.
Yeah.
So I lied. There was a concrete answer, but I did not mention that the nail polish was red.
Oh.
So you were at a disadvantage.
Oh, it's okay. I figured it was clear, which I don't know why I think any JWOW would ever use clear nail polish, but that's my mistake.
As a dude, to me, in my mind, all nail polish is red. So I'm also colorblind. So.
Okay.
All right, so last one. What would JWOW do in a post-apocalyptic civilization where gyms, tanning beds, and cosmetics were but a memory?
Ooh. First of all, she'd cry. She'd cry deeply and horribly. Second of all, I feel like she'd be okay in terms of working out. There are rocks to lift, you know?
Yeah, and she seems really committed.
She does. She seems really committed. She might not like not having to do a tanning bed, but instead having to be out in the sun. But maybe she'll discover meditation.
It's true, and I didn't actually mention that tanning bronzer and products like that were but a memory.
I assumed that those were but a memory because you mentioned makeup.
Yeah, cosmetics, but you never know what can survive the apocalypse. I mean,
that's true.
cockroaches and tanning bronzer.
I feel like she'll be kind of like if you've seen the video for Roar with Katy Perry where she uses a pomegranate as lip gloss. I feel like that's JWOW's post-apocalyptic. What's gonna happen?
That's hardcore.
She'll use his shoe to spear a banana and eat it.
That's actually, I agree. I think JWOW will be very resourceful in this kind of situation because this book illustrates that she has a true survival instinct. Nothing's gonna break her stride or hold her down.
Absolutely not. JWOW is gonna keep doing what she's doing, and I genuinely, unironically, kind of applaud her for that. Of like, you keep going.
No, I agree. I mean, I hate making value judgments like this, but she's obviously kind of dumb, but like she's also like really self-aware and really fucking tough.
Yeah,
like, I read this book in so many points where I was like, good for you. You stood up for yourself there and there, and not even just in relationship things when it's just like there's straight up like an article that tells you a lot about the book, but there's just a straight up piece about like when to get in someone's face at a bar for fucking with your friend, And I was like, you know what? That's pretty cool. She also refers to herself as a ride or die bitch twice, which I loved.
Again, because I'm from New York, and a lot of these people are based in New York. Pauly D does traveling DJ events, and he did them. Well, here's what's so creepy about them, and I don't think a lot of people know this, is that we found out that Pauly D was doing a DJ event at a bar down the street, and a couple of friends and I were like, if it's less than a $5 cover charge, like, I have an irony budget. Do you want to check this out and make fun of people?
Irony budget totally is my new favorite phrase.
And this book completely outweighed my irony budget, by the way, because I did 2-day shipping on it. But I'm doing it.
I got a $5 a week limit on snark.
Yeah. So. But we were like, all right, we can do like a $5 to $10 irony cover charge. Let's do this. And we went to the bar, and we couldn't get in because we were over the age of 21.
Oh yeah, they have weird rules like that but for ladies only, right? Or was this just a teen event?
It was just a teen event. You couldn't get in if you were of legal drinking age.
That's awful because Pauly D is one of the worst people in the world, from what I can tell. It's
so creepy.
It's like a Pauly D DJ event / like weird mating ritual where he's gonna select some strange child bride or something.
But obviously you can't drink because the rules are you have to be under 21. There's probably no liquor in sight. So it's a bunch of teenagers dancing sober to DJ Pauly D's probably mediocre at best mixing.
I've heard some of Pauly D's mixing. I don't even remember where, on YouTube or some ad or something. And he does like, cut rate Tiesco, Oakenfold kind of. And I can't imagine it's the stuff you'd want to be sober for, but I also imagine that if it's an under 18 crowd and there's no drinking allowed, that it's basically just encouraging kids to go fucking eat Mad E and roll their faces off while some dork with spiky hair like plays Sandstorm.
I had a feeling Sandstorm was going to come up during this, but I wasn't sure when.
I can't mention bad DJs without mentioning Sandstorm. It's like the rule.
Yeah, and a lot of them, not so much now, but I know that a lot of them got paid for club appearances, which makes sense given the audience that they appeal to. But again, going back to, I still don't know what audience she was trying to go for, because some of them seemed like rules for 15-year-old girls who had maybe had one boyfriend so far in their lives, but the rest of them were kind of like, ladies, you know when you get trashed and you just want to suck some dick, and it's gone from just being like, if you've had too much to drink, do not drink more, to sometimes you gotta blow a guy, and it doesn't make, it's all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. It's
great, and I love it so much. I'd like to transition now into dramatic readings.
Dramatic readings. We're gonna make it sound important. Dramatic readings. Yeah, I got some words for you.
Okay. So the way this works is we're each going to read our favorite passage from the book in the style of an NPR show, where they read bullshit that you don't care about. Like Selected Shorts, for instance, which always has really interesting actors reading really boring shit. Anyway, Rachel, would you like to go first, or would you prefer for me to kick us off here?
I think you should kick it off, because I've been going first a lot, so... And I also, there's so many things to read that I kind of want to scroll through my notes and figure out which is going to be best.
So what you're saying is you're not going to be paying attention
I
to
will
what's going on.
absolutely be paying attention.
I'm just fucking with you. Okay, so my favorite passage here is called, it's entitled Guido Outfits. I forgot to mention the word Guido. I ran a search, is mentioned 78 times in this book. And if you add the female version Guidette, it rounds it out to a even 125. I know. So anyway, Guido Outfits. Pardon me. Once you put all of the above together, you've got half the Guido. The clothes make the man. Most of them rock jeans by 7, or True Religion. The upscale denims that emphasize the 2 Guido selling points, the butt cheeks and the package. They top that off with cut-off sleeve shirts, wife beaters, or tight guinea tees. Shirts are almost always blinged out. The very best Ed Hardy, Armani Exchange, or Affliction has to offer. Guidos are all about name brands, and that goes for accessories as well. Watches, sunglasses, sneaks. They better all be status. Many of them also adorn their perfect pecs with glittering crosses and chains, kind of like decking out a Christmas tree. Fucking fa la la la. I loved it so much. I just especially because I'm from Florida originally. I'm not from the Jersey area, but we do get a lot of transplants and tourists.
It's awful. They're awful people.
Those are the guys. They have a lot to say about mixed martial arts.
Yeah, there's a lot of MMA commentary. They all go to Hooters for MMA nights and eat shitty wings. It's awful.
I was just going to mention, Hooters has the worst fucking wings in the world.
They're so bad.
And also, the quote-unquote sexy outfits are like, anything that involves nude pantyhose is not sexy at all. And I just like to point that out. Anyway, though, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're trying to avoid your dramatic reading.
No, there's so much to it. There's so much. I really just kind of want to flip to a page and just go with a paragraph. All right, I'll do the paragraph on Guido hair.
Okay, this is great. Yeah,
yes.
Keep it with the Guidos.
Yes, keep it with the Guidos. I'll read the intro to the Guido style and then the Guido hair. The elements of Guido style. Most Guidos, including the guys in my shore house, are all talk, no action when it comes to fashion. They don't take many style risks. They travel in packs, so they tend to dress like their posse. In a nutshell, it's t-shirt time. It could get a little monotonous, except for the fact that these guys have sick bodies, so I will forgive the unoriginality. But occasionally, they do dress up for you in a nice button-down, buttoned way down, khakis, footwear other than Converse. And that's pretty much when I lose all control. And then it's an ellipses.
I had to hold my nose and mouth throughout that entire passage to keep from laughing out loud.
I've been kind of like grasping the microphone so I don't laugh into it this entire time.
It's like any time an actual passage from this book comes up, it becomes the funniest podcast ever made.
Guido hair. Jello go home is their motto. The style can be a blowout, a faux hawk, short and spiked, or buzzed into a sleek fade. Guidos spend a lot of time on their hair, both in the bathroom at the barbershop. Paulie has it down to a science. 25-minute tops from wash to dry and out the door. And his hair is legendary. He's like the Farrah Fawcett of the shore. Oh my God, she wrote a poem.
Yeah, she did. Also, the fact that anyone would look at Pauly D as like having legendary hair is crazy. He looks like a hedgehog.
She quotes Pauly D in the book several times of how the hair is bulletproof.
I wonder how many people would like to actually try that out.
Mythbusters.
Yeah. Somebody call up those two dudes that look vaguely identical and the
kind
pretty
of
redhead,
like
and let's get on this.
Oh, God, this book.
It is. It's a great book, and we could talk about it forever.
Yeah.
But I think we've already sort of talked about it forever.
We have.
So it's probably a good time to bring things to a close
Yes.
here. Before we do, I'd like to ask whether or not you would recommend reading this book, either ironically or earnestly.
No.
No, neither.
The thing with the ironic read is that it's really funny, but it gets very tedious. I don't know about you, it got very tedious very
By the
quickly.
end, it was a slog.
It was a slog. And it got much funnier towards the end, too, but I was already so cross-eyed of, like, the Mamma Mia dumped pasta on his dick type stuff that I just kind of, I couldn't, I wanted to get into her lip gloss tips, but I couldn't.
Yeah, it was hard, especially after being assaulted by Ma Fratelli's language for like 300 pages. It's like the Goonies restaurant scene.
Throw JWOWW from the train.
So for me, I guess I got to agree. There is neither earnest or nor ironic value in this book, because even though almost everything we've mentioned here is funny, it's buried between, 20 pages of just straight up lists of like ab workouts and or fucking recipes for shitty Italian food. She has a recipe for chicken parmesan that, like, when I looked at it, it involves like 4 steps, and it's like flatten the chicken, put it in breadcrumbs, fry that shit, make pasta, and I was just like, that's nasty. That's gonna be raw. So I don't know. So no, don't read it. Don't read it. Don't buy it. Don't support this weird empire.
If you're the type to listen to this podcast, I don't think you need help with JWOW's rules on how to date. I'm pretty sure you have a grasp on it.
Yeah, and even if you do need help on dating advice, I think there are plenty more respectable sources that you could turn to.
Literally just ask either of us, because there are a few things in there where I go, all right, that's a good thing. But like I've been saying the entire time, it's a platitude. It's a general thing of just like, if a guy is mean to you, don't stick with him. Like, you don't need to pay $8 plus shipping on Amazon to have JWOWW tell you that.
you could probably get more just from watching the Oprah channel for half a day. Okay, so anyway, this has been I Don't Even Own a Television. It is a podcast about bad books, obviously. We're about to close out, but before we do, Rachel, is there anything in particular you'd like to plug?
Nothing in particular. If you want to follow me on Twitter, do it. It's my name, Rachel Millman, RachelMillman. If you want me to write something for you, I'll write something for you. If you want me to get on a mic, I'll get on a mic, because I sometimes do comedy, even though I'm not that great at it. That's the worst pitch for myself I've ever had.
No, that was nice and humble.
I don't want to talk myself up into something I'm not. I'm okay.
Anybody who's listened to this entire podcast already knows how hilarious you are.
Aw, thank you, Jay.
No problem. P.S. Did you notice how I changed my tone today because I have a female guest? That's because this is a progressive podcast. Sorry. So I guess that's about it. Thank you very much for listening. I wanted to mention that you should follow us on Twitter at IDEOTV pod and perhaps on Facebook at facebook.com/IDEOTV pod, which is an abbreviation for I Don't Even Own a Television, but a lot harder to say that way. But I'm going to start ramping up content a lot more on those sites, so make sure to stick around there for quips and photos and previews of what we're going to be talking about next. And thanks again for listening, and thanks again, Rachel.
Oh, of course. Thank you everybody for listening as well.
All right, well, we will talk to you later, and once again, keep reading crap.
She was had me fucked up in the head, bought the bitch diamonds and pearls, should've seen them shit shining on the wrist. Now money ain't a problem, see my dough is like, pulled out my bankroll on y'all niggas like, lost the boot shrimp from 210 like, faggot wanna keep my blueprints, I'm like, had to hit the brakes on y'all niggas like, niggas getting both on